What was the weirdest black market in your school? Mountain Dew and Pepsi had a contest where college names were printed on the inside of the bottle caps. If that school won the NCAA March Madness tournament, you could send it in for the jersey of your choice from any school. Suddenly, a black market for caps with blue chip schools was born. I remember selling a Duke cap for 10, then turning around and buying 10 drinks from the vending machine. I wouldn't say it was weird, but my friend in high school had like a prepper granddad waiting for Y2K. He literally had crates filled with cartons of off-brand cigarettes. So my friend would steal a few cartons, bring them to me, and I'd sell them out of my locker. I'd charge $3 a pack. He'd get $1 and I'd get the other 2, or 50 cents for loose cigarettes, and we'd just spilt that down the middle. I only kept like 6 packs in a pencil case, 5 whole and 1 open for the loose ones to sell, in my locker at a time. He'd have the rest in his locker at the other end of school, and I'd just go refill as needed between classes or at lunch. One time a teacher called the cops because I was acting suspicious. They pulled me out of class and brought in a drug dog to search my locker. I'd just sold my last Lucy pack like 10 minutes before that. The dog didn't find anything, but the cops went through everything anyway. When he opened the pencil box, there were little shreds of tobacco inside. He asked, "What's this?" And I said, "Well, it's a pencil box. I'd guess it's probably pencil shavings," and he just shrugged and put it back. Went right back to selling cigarettes the next day. Oh, I'd also trade 1 Lucy for a meal ticket. That's how our lunch system worked, and would also sell the meal tickets for 1 each and split that with my buddy too. This one girl forged excuse notes if you brought her something one of your parents wrote. I never used her services myself, but we were and still are good friends, and I gotta say, she's talented as heck. I literally can't tell which one is mine after she copied something I wrote, including signature. It's baffling. Harry Potter books. I went to a religious school where books that had magic or fantasy was banned. Parents of these kids were just as religious, so kids couldn't get them from their parents. Mom didn't care, and she let me buy a few for some friends, and then more kids started requesting them. Charged double for what they were worth, and the kids were more than happy to pay. Most popular requests were Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings and Cirque du Freak series. Our middle school tried to start a reward program. It turned out to be a fail of epic proportion. Wolf bucks names after our mascot. They were mini-sized dollars color coded by value. Green was 1. Red was 5. Blue was 10. And a gold wolf buck only accessible to the principal and assistant principal 50. Now the school bought erasers, pencil, notebooks. You could only buy with wolf bucks 1 pencil 1 wolf buck. First failure, it was easy to copy, so kids started mass copying them. OK, school got smart and said only accepting wolf bucks with your name and have your teacher's signature. Second failure, kept the same color, so kids would earn 1 legitimately, then the forgery started. Third failure, hyperinflation during pep rallies. The principal started throwing golden wolf bucks. Eventually the school stopped replaying the store. Everyone had hundreds, thousands of worthless wolf bucks. This happened in Los Angeles in the mid-80s. Student bus passes had to be purchased by the 5th day of the month or you were stuck having to pay daily. The date had passed, so I found a guy in my high school willing to trade another student's pass which he had stolen. I traded a tangerine and half a pack of cigarettes for a copy of Penthouse. Then I traded that issue with a pizza from the cafeteria for the bus pass. This wasn't a weird one, but a genius one for a tween. A girl set up a little business out of a box of stationery, writing forged letters from parents. She had all different paper, pens and pencils of every kind, and could write in convincingly accurate tone for the content of the notes depending on which kid they were for. She used different styles of handwriting, and different styles of punctuation and language too. She'd even fudge the spelling if she thought the kids' parents weren't great at it. She grew up to be incredibly educated. I look back and see that as her first moment of evil genius. It definitely suggested she would go on to brilliance one day, and she did. Diddle paper. It's colored paper with a mouse drawn on it, but everyone collected them. no matter how old. And there were hundreds of different artworks. People had folders with protected covers, and depending on the motive and rarity you wanted to trade, you could get 3 to 4 others in exchange. It was wild. I just googled it, and there are still collectors buying and selling them on the internet. A teacher at my high school that I refused to rat on would take money from students and buy them lottery tickets scratch-offs in exchange for a cut of any prize 50 and up. I think the dude legit made a few $1,000s off of this just during my senior year, and it made the students love him. My teachers had a legit ass betting pool for how long? Until we went online at the beginning of the year. Some seniors were allowed in on it, and one of them won like 800. There was a tree at one end of the playground that had loads of small jade rocks underneath. We had a full mining operation using stones as spades to find them. One of my friends sold Starburst from his locker. 10 cents for 2. If he liked you, you got 2 from the normal bag. If he didn't like you, you got 2 from the bag that only had yellows. In early elementary school we had a market for mud. Different groups of kids would claim areas around the school as their mud pit and put their brand of mud in Ziploc bags to be traded with other groups for different bags of mud. We were the clay mud group, and I had about 3 kids in the muck scooping it into bags or running to the water fountain to get fresh water to make more mud on dry days. I would be the one to go make the deals with the other groups. We traded Allet with the gravel mud group because clay mud and cement mud are both good for building or some shit. Who knows? It made so much sense at the time. The principal and staff eventually stepped in to end it because all the kids came back to class filthy every day and giant holes littered every field and playground. I had a friend that used to bring a bunch of Coke cans from home and then sell them for $1 at lunch. Cheaper than the vending machine prices, and so it became like a little business. He eventually saved up enough for a longboard. My son does this. I take him to the discount store to bulk buy drinks and sweets. He makes a nice little profit. Salt. My school canteen doesn't have any salt with chips or fries to Americans, and people used to sell salt packets. The most expensive offer I could find was 50 pence for a packet or £1 for 3. Our elementary school utilized ice cream tickets. You got one if it was your birthday, or if you did something that a teacher decided was exemplary. People would pass them around asking for favors down the line. Some kid found the paper used to make the tickets and Xeroxed multiple pages of the tickets. He became our kingpin and ruled for a couple years. Bottle caps. I still don't get it, but back in primary school, they were collecting bottle caps for some kind of charity. Google it. It's still ongoing around the world. So what happened was everything was going well. The teacher got everyone excited about it, and kids were collecting it en masse. Kids would go around raiding for it. From the trash. From their school lunches. From their homes even. A teacher got a call from a concerned parent because her kid hijacked all the bottle caps from their kitchen. So that's stage 1 of the weirdness. It's what happened afterwards. Stage 2. Kids started trading with these plastic bottle caps. We would trade pens, homework, and even Pokemon cards for bottle caps. Worthless bottle caps. There wasn't even a prize for whoever could collect the most caps. It just became a currency out of nowhere. Let's talk about stage 3 of the madness. Theft. There was no bank of bot caps at our school. There was the donation box, and there were your cubbies. Those who didn't want to lug their stash back home every day left it in their cubbies, and some kid decided to steal people's caps and from the donation box. The great theft of class 3B. But it was probably for the best, because overpast the madness subsided, the teacher ended the bottle cap donation. She was sick of the bugs that were gathering and licking up the dried up sugar juices from the caps anyway, but mostly horrified at how her little charity drive devolved into a socio-economical experiment. Just like that, the bottle cap market crashed. Noodle seasoning packets. I think I was 16 when this happened, but basically a bunch of guys bag and printing paper that looked like contracts with the top saying "Sol contract." They'd come up to some of the younger students and get them to sign the document to sell their soul for eternity, and would pay then $2-3 converting to US dollars. We had a good laugh when some of the students became worried they actually sold their soul. In elementary school I would collect parts from ballpoints, like springs etc., and then charge for repairing ballpoints my classmates broke. I can finally answer one. I used to sell bags of sugar and Kool-Aid, like bootleg M sticks. Also sold red hot toothpicks I made from cinnamon oil. When I got into high school, my family was one of the first to get a computer. I made a killing from printing out fake report cards. I was quite the entrepreneurial little shit. One day my high school decided to stop selling soda because they were trying to pass some sort of audit. The very next day, my friend and I showed up with cases of cold soda in our backpacks, selling them for $0.50 a piece. We were sold out by lunchtime every day for like 2 weeks until they plugged the vending machines back in. We did a weird assignment for a month where we ran a society for an hour each day in our classroom. People had little shops they ran from their desks. There were elected positions, laws you could be ticketed for breaking, etc. It was all run on fake money, of course. I got elected chief of police and handed out tickets for stuff like chewing gum in class. But a combination of laziness and not wanting everyone to hate me caused me to slack off, and I got fired after 2 weeks. So I opened a shop instead and sold stuff, including gum, which in hindsight makes me like a cop who became a drug dealer. The final week of this rolls around and there's an announcement at the end. All your money will be tallied up, any debts or taxes you owe subtracted, and any kid who wound up with a positive amount gets a pizza party. Kids who are in the red have to write an assignment on how and why they screwed up. This electrifies the class. Missing out on a pizza party is a big damn deal when you're 10, and well under half the class is currently in the black. Tons of them had taken out big loans in the beginning to set up businesses and had no way to repay them. Not me though. I'd been receiving a salary as a cop, and after being fired I just used the money I had accumulated to set up shop and had no debts. Few in the class could say that, so I was sitting pretty. Soon I started receiving offers of real money on the playground for some of my fake money. You only needed to be $1 over zero to win, so I could spare plenty. Made 40 in actual cash. I think I charged 5 for 100 fake dollars and got 8 people to accept. So I was a corrupt cop who became a drug dealer who became a money launderer and won. So I definitely learned a lot about how society works. I organized the black market. My school banned Pokemon cards, so I made a new game with paper cards. I was drawing pretty well, so I folded in paper in 9. It made pieces approximately the size of a Pokemon card and created a whole new game out of this. Sold boosters for 10 cents. Spend all my afternoons drawing cards for the school. Teachers eventually heard of it and couldn't ban it because it was still officially me distributing drawings. And then I started to do replicas of Pokemon cards. Like people had to show me the proof after school that they owned the card. I made a replica, and then the whole Pokemon card trading continued with paper replicas. Then after school people made the real exchanges based on what replicas they exchanged during school. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.